She was not worried. I was like, oh, she was like has a very like relaxed, calm presence. And it's like a low budget thing. It's the middle of the night. We're in alleys in New Jersey. There's zombies, and she's very like, okay, so we'll go. And I was like, yeah, I was impressed about that.
So I asked the whole cast this, and I got a variety of answers, but everyone has a favorite of your dad's zombie movies, and so I was curious, which is your favorite?
Oh man, Dawn of the Dead. I'm going Dawn. It's just
Nice.
it's so great, and there's a pie fight in the middle of it, and there's zombies trying to go down an escalator, and it's got for me, it's the silliest of them, and I think the zombie is one of the silliest monsters that exists, and my dad was such a silly guy, so I feel his spirit in Dawn of the Dead the most. So
Yeah.
I think it's Dawn.
Well, and you spent time on his sets growing up, so what would you say was the biggest lesson that you carried over into your own filmmaking?
Oh, cool. I did, and I think um, my dad was the type of guy who, if the wardrobe team came to him and said, George, we have this option and this option, he would say, well, what do you think? He was not afraid to use the brilliant people around him and to collaborate with them and to ask what they thought and ask for their feedback. And let the people do what they're good at doing. He was a collaborator through and through, and he was a nice guy. He said thank you. He said please. He smiled. He kept it fun, and so I think I saw him do that, and that registered to me like, okay, you got to treat people with respect. You got to say please and thank you, and you got to be grateful and collaborative.
Yeah. Well, I love the Tom Savini cameo in this. How nice was it for you to get him to play the mayor of New York?
Oh my God, I was so psyched when he said yes. I was so, it was a busy time for him, and it was like down, we were trying to make it work, and when ultimately he was like, I'm going to do this for you. I'm so thrilled. It's him. He's perfect. He's hilarious. We recorded it on Zoom. It actually is. We put a fake background in there, which I love. I love that he's like rolling into the office chair over the fake background, and it feels so right. It just feels like the perfect cameo. And I don't know if you
Yeah.
caught Galen Ross in there too. She's in the hospital at the beginning.
Oh, I
She's
didn't
the
even realize.
Yeah, she's the doctor who nearly bumps into Sam at the hospital.
That's amazing. Well, Savini actually name drops your father's movies. So, was there any conversation about potentially trying to make it canon with those films, or was this always the route you wanted to take?
Well, I knew that I wanted to continue the universe in that it's his monster, it's his rules. We added one little rule, which is the zombies are still picking up their devices, but I feel very strongly that my dad would have approved of this little add-on here.
Uh,
Uh, but I wanted to start the zombie apocalypse from the onset because just I think it's delicious to go from a world that's normal to a world that's no longer normal. I wanted to see the onset, and it felt like we're putting fresh eyes on the genre or on the Romero universe. So like, why not start from the beginning in that way? But I do feel like spiritually it is linked. It is another of the Dead Romero film.
uh,
It's just a Tina Romero film, not a George Romero film.
When this was your directorial debut, and I was extremely impressed with how natural the dialogue was presented and how much you were able to build up your entire ensemble. So, and because both of those things are extremely tough in independent film, what do you think the key to that was?
This is where I have to call out my co-writer Erin Judge. She is a genius. She's a stand-up comedian. She and I worked for 8 years on this script, and I think we whittled it down. It used to be huge. It used to be like double the length. There were 4 different parties on a Saturday night, but all the characters we've been sitting with for years and years and years. And so I think when you're like whittling away and getting down to the core, on the page, we got to a place where like we know what we need from these characters to tell their story most efficiently. And then when you put these characters to life with such incredible people like Katy O'Brian, Jaquel Spivey, Dominique Jackson, like the cast is unreal, and they were so good, and they really brought to life these characters in a way that we couldn't have even imagined. So I think there's something to the authentic queer casting, um, that allowed them to breathe and play and be in their own skin in such a way that like because nobody was tasked with being the one token queer on set. Nobody had to like represent all gays. Every We have such a spectrum here that it allowed for like the freedom of experimentation and play and like finding the balance between improv and nailing their lines.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's, you know, this cast is just a dream cast and they did such a good job.
Well, and due to your father, zombie films are really associated with social commentary, and this featuring drag queens and queer people couldn't be more relevant to modern day. So, what was the main message that you wanted to get across to viewers?
You know, we're here and we will fight like hell to stay here. There's no denying our existence. And it also, we need each other to survive. We really, really need each other to survive. We have to stop fighting one another. We have to stick together and we have to get off our fucking phones and connect in real life if we're gonna hang on to our humanity.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful sentiment. And I wanted to ask too, so I noticed the zombies had a bit of glitter in their makeup. What made you want to go that route?
You know what, Tyler? I frankly am just a little bit bored of hyper realistic zombies and their rotting flesh and their flannels and their jeans. If I was gonna do this in the queer world, I needed to make them fabulous. And Christina Grant, our head of makeup, understood the assignment right away. And she was like, "Do you like this glitter or that glitter?" And we wanted to call back to Dawn of the Dead, where the zombies are just green, and then we added a little bit of shimmer on top of that green. And I'm so happy with how the zombies turned out. You know, we also have this story takes place in Bushwick on a Saturday night. People are going to be in their going out looks. Like they're not going to be wearing boring zombie clothes. They're going to be in fabulous Bushwick Saturday night attire. And so, you know, my dad, going back to Dawn of the Dead, there's actually a lot of personality in those zombies. You know, we have the nurse, we have the Hare Krishna, like, you know, we have these fun little pops of zombie personality. And so we wanted to bring that out too in the way that the zombies are dressed and just like up the amount of shimmer a little bit.
Well, that's all the time I have with you. Thank you so much. This has been so great. You have a great rest of your day, Tina.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Thanks.
First off, I've essentially had a little Riki Lindhome week because I had Queens of the Dead and then I watched the new Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So I was
You did? Oh my gosh, I'm
yeah.
seeing it tonight. How is
Oh,
it?
it's very, very good.
Oh
Very
my gosh,
good.
I'm in that for like 4 seconds, but it was so
Yeah,
fun to
you
be part
well,
of.
I
Yeah.
had no idea you were in it, so I was like, "Oh, this is exciting." I had no
Yeah.
idea. So with Queens of the Dead, so Tina's dad, George Romero, is obviously a legend in the zombie genre. So whether it was growing up with it or just research for your roles on Queens of the Dead, did either of you have a favorite of George's zombie films?
I've seen Night of the Living Dead, but a long time ago. I didn't do any zombie preparation for this
Yeah,
as far as like watching zombie movies. I didn't do that. I should have
yeah.
probably, but did you?
No, I feel like I've watched them all, but yeah, it's been a minute. I rewatched Night of the Living Dead. And it's funny because like watching it 20 something years ago plus, which I know it's even older than that. And rewatching it now, I was like, it's actually even kind of difficult to distinguish who the zombies are and who they aren't. And I think they had like a little bit of makeup and their clothes were like a little kind of tattered, but
No.
um, it is kind of like interesting because I do feel like that would actually be the scariest
Yeah.
thing is not being a hundy, you know?
Killing the wrong person. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
One, you don't get to spend much time together in the film, but you are a couple in it. So did you two get to work out any of your relationship background together to make your eventual reunion hit a bit more?
No, we
No.
had our like reunion on the like, minutes after we met. So it was like, it was just like, hi. Okay. So we just kind of had to do that mentally on our own. And then it worked out.
Yeah, I think there's enough on the page, and then we both have significant others, so we just pretend that it's them, like
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, and Ricky, did you feel a little left out since you didn't get to join all the fun neon filming of the nightclub set?
Yes. Thank you. I did. I was like, when I saw the movie, I was like, this looks so fun. Yeah. I had fun, but it was more like serious fun, it was hospitals, cars, alleyways, I did miss out on all the fun club stuff. I was bummed.
Yeah. When Katie, despite this being an ensemble, you really are the anchor of the story and kind of guide the audience along. So, what was your approach to playing the more straight-laced character when everyone else gets to be turned up to 11?
I mean, I think that's kind of just what it felt like. In general, I think I'm the only one without like musical theater experience maybe there. I played in the pit orchestra, back in my day, but like
What did you play?
percussion.
Nice.
But yeah, it just felt like that's exactly where I should be in this particular setting with this particular group for sure. And honestly, like in my own friend group, I'm kind of that way too. I'm a little bit lame, I think, and like I'm always very much like let everyone clown, like down to clown, whatever. But like I'm just gonna be the one sitting in the corner with like my diet soda, sipping, just my level is here.
It is kind of relaxing being around big personalities because you don't necessarily
Yeah.
have to contribute. You
Yes.
can, you're welcome to, but it's nice to like be entertained. That's why I
Yeah.
like being around musical theater people and comedians for that reason.
Yeah.
No,
So
you're
you can just
yes,
kind of sit
spot
back
on.
and let it wash over you.
Spot
Yeah.
on. You don't have to do anything.
When with Tina's father being who he is, there's a lot of eyes on this project, despite it being her film debut. So I'm curious, like, what impressed you both about her as a director?
I
I,
think how calm she was. She was not worried. I was like, oh, she was like has a very like relaxed, calm presence. And it's like a low budget thing. It's the middle of the night. We're in alleys in New Jersey. There's zombies, and she's very like, okay, so we'll go. And but I was like, yeah, I was impressed about that.
yeah, I think it also like being able to deal with actors and so many personalities and ensemble, it can get pretty carried away, but she had a very like tight schedule that she had to adhere to and was able to do that without yelling, without, it was just like, it also helps that everyone's a professional, but it just seems, yeah, like she just seemed effortless. And I love also that this is, yeah, her premiere feature and her voice is very clear right away. And I know that music is a big thing, a big part of who she is. And I know that dance is a big part of who she is. And she was able to like express herself through this film really early on, which is impressive.
Mhm.
Well, that's all the time that I have with you both. Thank you so much for talking with me today. This has been great. You have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you
Thank
too. Nice to
you.
meet you.
Well, and I gotta know, did either of you have any experience with George Romero's zombie franchise before joining Queens of the Dead?
Like experience with.
Just watching
Oh
the
yeah,
films.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I
I've
meant. Yeah.
watched them. I've watched. Yeah, I think I've seen, pretty much all of them. There's quite a few.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've seen. I mean, I've seen Night of the Living Dead multiple times. That's the classic.
Yeah.
Zombies are so slow, and that's the
Yeah.
most scary. Um, but yeah, I've seen them all. I've had a lot of experience with the genre as well too. But yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen them. I watched them for the first time before. I watched a
Oh,
lot of his movies. I really loved Martin. That was my favorite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The vampire boy.
Yeah, I like
Sorry.
Martin as well. And I'm because I'm gonna ask everyone this. Do you have a favorite of the of the Dead franchise other than Queens? Queens is too easy of an answer.
Well, I like the 28 days. Like to me, that's
Oh,
like it's all kind of tied up with like animal liberation from the 90s. Like it was kind of the zombies were super fast. That was like the other thing that they changed. They were step printing the film, so you would skip frames, and the zombies would be like right, So that was so alarming when that came out. So I think that I also love all the sort of Shaun of the Dead kind of like horror comedy,
yeah.
that kind of British stuff. But yeah, like I think those are my favorite, sort of the British ones. Maybe because Britain is an island, so there is a real paranoia about something like that happening, because nobody can get off the island.
Jack, what about you?
Shaun of the Dead. That was
Yeah.
that was like my one reference point for zombies growing up. Yeah, you've got right on you. Huge, huge. Yeah.
Well, and, getting into Queens of the Dead, Jack, I always love a bit of a ditzy character, and I'd say Kelsey fits the bill. What was the idea behind Kelsey singing to herself when she's alone?
That was in the script. That was in the script that she sings, that she makes up a song. to herself, and I was really excited for that. I think she's just comforting herself. She's really scared and she's all alone. And if she has the voice of an angel, which her own, in her ear, then she'll be a little more protected, you
Yeah.
know.
Were there any other quirks that you felt were essential to her as a character?
I mean, I really found a lot of it while doing it, but I think like I wanted her to be blonde for sure. They hooked me up with a really gorgeous wig, and I wanted her to have huge boobs as big as possible on me. And yeah, those were her physical quirks. Then the other stuff just sort of came from just interacting with everyone else. I think she kind of got like buried sometimes. She was like couldn't really keep up with everything, you know, because everyone was so loud.
Well, and Margaret, your entrance on the scooter is so great. Did you and Tina discuss the reasoning behind that choice?
No, I had just learned how to like. I was so scared to be on it. I'd never ridden one before, and I'd done a movie right before this where I had to ride a Segway, and I fell on my head.
Oh no.
And so this was like the weird couple of months where I had to ride things in movies, which is like not good. And I am really not a physically active person, so it was really scary. And it was about making it look convincing, so I'm glad it looked okay. I was really scared to ride it. My arms were like shaking on it, and it was very dark and trying to come through with like the fake smoke and stuff. It was really scary, but I'm glad it looked okay.
Well, and I love the reveal that like Kelsey and Pops are together, and I know every actor has a different process, but did you two discuss some of like their background, like how they met?
Don't think we
I
did.
don't think we did. I think we might have like a little, honestly, no. I think we just vibed and said like
Yeah.
they're engaged. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you know, we imagine that they've been together for 3 months.
It seemed like one of those
3 to
like
6.
super fast, like U-Haul kind
Totally.
of like relationships, and
Yeah.
you know, with them moved in right away. But also, there's a lot of like sexual like attraction there, and it was very, to me, very classic butch from 1950s kind of relationship, which I love. I think is really beautiful. I think it's missing. We don't really have those anymore. I don't know why, but it's a really beautiful combination.
Yeah.
One with Tina's father being who he is, there's a lot of eyes on her, despite this being her film, like feature film debut. So I have to know, what impressed you both about her as a director?
I was just impressed by how calm she was. Like she was so calm. It always felt like she had just like walked onto set and was like down to like tell you a little joke. I would forget that she was running the whole show because she just did it with such grace. Like I think she enjoys it so much, and she grew up on set with her dad. So she just like she's such a natural director.
Yeah, she had a natural affinity for it. You could tell. And these are like not easy scenes to film because there's like 12 people in a shot. There's stunts, there's practical effects that, you know, you need to have a protocol. We had animals, you know, I'm like working with rats and like you know, trying to do all of that at the same time, you know, and managing a very pretty low budget film. You know, it's like quite a big deal. And she really did it all with such grace. And you could tell that she had grown up on set. You could tell that she had grown up in this environment where they were all like, you know, moving against the clock, trying to get it all done. And so, yeah, she had a lot of grace under that pressure.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.